Hi, everybody. Good evening. Welcome on in. Welcome to Paranormal Pixie Hour Conversations with Lara. That's me. Thank you all for being here. I really appreciate all of your patience and everything. Last week, things were very hectic for our wonderful little trio, and so we took the week off. And I know a lot of you have heard that our dear sweet person moderator, background, all around wonderful dragon, has been sick and he's home. He's doing better. He's behind the scenes for me right now. I'll have him pop up in just a second, but I want to give everybody a moment to kind of filter in and just, say, hey, I'm glad to see you all here. I hope I've been saying prayers for those that are being affected, were affected by the hurricane Irina in Florida and up the coast. So I hope that all of those of you that live in those areas have been able to stay safe and that you'll be back to living a normal life again very soon. We're thinking about you. So, real quick, again, Stephen had a issue where apparently he got a little bit of food poisoning, had to go to the ER. He's doing great. I spoke to him a little bit behind the scenes. His throat is very raw, so he really has not much of a voice. So I'm not going to allow him to talk. I'm just going to ask him if he'll pop up on screen and give everybody a quick wave and blow us a kiss. But otherwise, he's going to stay behind the scenes tonight. I don't want him tearing up his throat any more than it already is. But we're really happy that our ghost dragon is back in our dungeon and running things for us.
Yeah, fun
Love you,
food.
Stephen.
You're welcome. Everybody have a good night. I'm here. I'm okay. So just bad. I'll talk to you folks hopefully tomorrow night. And I'll talk to you later. All you, Laura.
All right. Thank you, darling. I'm really glad that he's home and doing okay. I have actually been there myself, gotten food poisoning and all the nastiness that goes along with it. Had to go to the hospital, get the IV fluids, and it's not a fun ride. So, again, I'm really glad that he's doing okay. So, a couple of things that I wanted to bring to you tonight. Um, you know, in my journey trying to um, share knowledge with all of you that you can implement into your everyday lives. Um, Figure out what works for me. Um, One of the things that I got to thinking about is packaging up stuff to go to our sweet Gemma. That I'd talk just a very quick bit on smudge and the practice of smudging and different ways that you can incorporate using sage as a clarifier for clearing energy, for clearing um, bacteria from the space, things of that sort. So I've got a couple of things down here that I'm going to pull out. Most traditionally, when we think of smudge, you think of a typical smudge bundle. Okay. So, and I've actually gotten some that were as small as my thumb. Um, it's layers of the leaves, whether it be this is a white sage. Okay. Here's what one of the individual leaves looks like. And what's really neat, even though these are dried, is it's actually a little bit pliable, so it's got a little bit of bend to it. And it's got this really soft velvety feel to it. And so if you rub your fingers against it and you can smell the aroma, it'll release the oils. And so, that in and of itself is one way that you can work with sage. I have, like when I've gone out and I know I'm going to be in a stressful situation, and I know that I want to balance my own energy, clear my own energy, taking a sage leaf with me, and I'll rub it. And then if it's an emotional, heart-wrenching situations, if you will, I may take that and then I may rub it at my heart chakra. Um, if I feel like I'm angry or I'm going to cry or anything like that, then I might take it and rub it up here at my third eye. So, that's one way that you can work with that, smudge bundle. And I will oftentimes, when I get gifted a larger bundle like this, I will take and find a jar, um, and separate it out and use the individual sage petals, sage leaves, um, because you don't always need that much smoke overpowering space, overpowering you. It's not always necessary. Now, say if I were going into, as I'm actually going to be doing next year, some paranormal investigating, which I will record what I can and share it with all of you. But I would take and light a full sage bundle, and then I would waft that smoke up over me to engulf me, both all of my front, down, smudge down my arms, both sides, down to my feet, around behind me, with the idea that, going back to what I've talked about, our own energetic field that extends about 12 inches all the way around your body. The natural toroidal field, our energetic field, surrounds us about 12 inches out. And so I'd want to pass this within that 12 inches all the way around my body to clear that energetic field, um, to help ground so that I can protect myself before I make myself vulnerable. And as someone who is more psychically open when doing something like a paranormal investigation, that's something I'm going to want to do. I would also probably have carry selenite on me as well as white tourmaline, for its clearing and grounding properties. With the sage, the other thing, and I'm going to actually open this, even though I'm going to be sending this one, this little package to Gemma. This is mountain sage. And mountain sage, and I should have clipped some from outside. I'll get some and either post pictures or share it on YouTube. So I'm going to hold this up a little closer. If you look, the stems are smaller and the leaves are much finer. And so with a sage bundle like this, while I still might take it apart to use in smaller practices, if you will, um, I would probably take it and, let's see if I can do this, burn a single piece of a stick, if I can pull it. And so I just literally broke off a little piece like that. And I've got a lighter here. There it is. And I would just take and, there we go. And almost like you would a piece of incense, and you can see now it's just got a little bit of an ember going. and I can smell it, and I can smell the smoke, and I would use that in my clearing process. Notice that it went out right away. When you are using sage, when you're using smudge to create a clearing field, sometimes you will have that sage actually go out when it's done its purpose. It's just like what Gemma has talked about how a stone, when it's served its purpose, will often break because what it's done is done. And so the sage will go out, and then um, later on, after I've got my sage embers, which I've got a micaceous pot that I love to use. It's one that I made when I was teaching ceramics. And so I've got my ash. Now, one of the things that I might do with this sage ash is I've got some clearing salt here, some pink Himalayan salt, is I may mix the two together and still use that as part of my warding for my property. And so what I will do is I'll take a little bit of the salt, add it to it, stir it in, and then when I'm asking for blessings and protection for my home, what I like to do is I'll dust the dirt back just a little bit, dust the soil back a little bit, sprinkle a little bit of that, call on my guides and my guardians, asking them to bless and protect my home, and then cover it back up with the soil. I do that in part because I'm giving it back to the earth, but also I'm also protecting the animals that live in our neighborhood and around our home, because I don't want them to um, get into the salt and have it make them sick. So that's something that you can do with the ash. Other practitioners, and they will have, and I don't have one with me at the moment, they'll have the shell that they use to burn their sage in. And then once it's kind of gotten full with the ash, they will then take that ash out to a sacred spot or to their garden, and in ceremony they give it back to earth. They'll, you know, give thanks to the four directions. They'll uncover the soil. They'll give the ash back to the earth and cover it back up. So that's another way that you can um, deal with or utilize the ash from your sage. So another way, and I honestly didn't know this was a thing until I received one as sort of a gift from the place where I purchase a lot of my gifts, where I purchase a lot of my products from. This is a sage clearing candle. And so it has been, it's handmade beeswax, hand rolled, and it has been infused with, this one has white sage, rose, and lavender to help clear the energy of a space. And so not only if you were using it in ceremony, could you use it? And, I would light it. I would again, go to the areas of my room, or I would light it, and then I would, bring the candle through my energetic field. But a lot of folks like to represent the four elements: earth, air, fire, water, when doing that sort of practice. And so this can serve dual purpose in the clearing, as well as when it's lit, it then is a symbol of fire. So there's that. Then I recently, now I have some, and it has its own special spot and its own special purpose that I received from Gemma. But I have some that I bought from farmer's market, from a lady who's also, she's a spiritual practitioner. She's an herbalist. She makes all kinds of wonderful tinctures, soaps, and so on. And this is a spray that's pure white sage and juniper berries. And so, again, this isn't a really fine mist. I'm actually probably going to swap some out into a different bottle that when it spritzes a much finer mist. Um, you do want to look at, what's the carrier. So in this case, the carrier in this one is water. It's purified, um, natural spring water that she's also blessed under the full moon, which I thought was really nice. She put quartz crystals in there for amplification. And so I wouldn't be too worried about it staining clothing, but I would also be careful with it. And if you're going to spray it on your clothes, I would test it in a small area, um, just to make sure that it's not going to damage the fabric. Like, with this one in particular, I like it in here. I've got a lot of soft fabrics, which, one, I like the comfort, two, it dampens the sound a little bit for me. And so I'll just take it and just give it a little spritz like that. Um, and again, the molecules are going to spread out in the area. They're going to absorb bacteria. They're going to help clean and cleanse the air and the energy. And so, it's another nice way to work with it, um, that not everybody would necessarily think of. I know I certainly didn't when I started down this particular part of my journey. Um, I had a friend of mine suggest to me, and that's the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get. I've actually got a couple of the small um, fairy bottles that you can get to put charms in, or um, stones, or what have you. And I'm going to actually dab some of this into that as another way that I can carry a small portion with me, because you can also buy it in form where you literally just dab it out onto your finger, and then, say if I were doing healing work, or I were doing chakra balancing work, I might dab it at each of the chakras while I'm doing that energy work. Um, or you can dab it or sprinkle it in a particular space that you're trying to cleanse and clear the energy of. So hopefully that kind of gives you a little bit more insight into different ways that you can use sage. I wanted to then see, I'm going to pick out a good one here. I'm going to take one of my sage leaves, and I'm going to light it. If I can get the lighter to work. Sometimes it's operator error, sometimes it's the product. And so when I light the sage leaf, I will usually let it burn until I see a fairly hot ember, and then I'll blow it out. Okay. And so what I would like to do at this moment is, for those of you that are watching now, those of you that are watching later, take a moment, close your eyes, take a deep breath, inhale, and exhale, and just ask the energies of the sage to cleanse and clear and protect you, those around you, clear your energy field, and allow you to feel a sense of calm and balance. And as my spiritual teacher likes to say, Amen, Aho, and so it is. And so with that, I'm going to do myself. And then what I will often do after I've done that is I'll take it and I will lay it in the bottom of my pot and know that if it continues to burn, then it's still clearing the energies of the area, or if in case like this, it's down to just a smolder, it's done its purpose and set it aside. So blessings, all of you. I hope that that sort of kind of brings a little bit of calm to the energy that everybody's feeling right now. We've got Mercury in retrograde. We've actually got, I believe, 7 total planets that are in retrograde right now, which just means the energy is higher. It's, things might be going a little haywire, things unexpected, just all of a sudden having to change your plans and take a different path. And so hopefully this brings just a little bit of calm to some of that energy to you right now. Um, one of the things that I did my last stream is I pulled a couple of cards from my gemstone affirmation deck. And so I did that again before this stream. And so I just thought I would read them off to you. And then I've got a couple of examples I thought I'd show to you. And if you have any questions about them, you could post them either in chat now, and Stephen will make them nice and big for me to read, or you can post them in the comments afterwards. And what I really highly recommend, and I'm going to task everyone that watches the streams to please go in afterwards, even if that comment is thank you, or a thumbs up, or a thumbs down. If you didn't like the stream, that's okay. So long as you're respectful, so long as you give us grace, because we're trying to do something for the community in a way that it may not resonate with everyone. But if we can reach out and even help one person, then what we're doing is making a difference for all of you. So leave a comment. Let me know if there's a particular stone that you'd like me to pull the card for next time. And I will do my best to, if I don't have one of the cards for it, to actually do some digging in my different books and try to give you a little bit of information about how that stone can be used, just as a way to bring this practice into your everyday life. So rose quartz. Now, rose quartz is one that everybody knows. Most common you'll see is, this really soft, and the camera doesn't do this one justice. This one's almost actually a bubble gum soft pink rose quartz heart. Rose quartz is, they call it the mother of all love stones, perfect for heart healing and manifesting love of all kinds. It's considered a universal stone of peace and love for self and love for others, and love for all creation. Rose quartz opens the heart chakra, reawakens trust, and dissolves negative energies. An affirmation for working with rose quartz is I am worthy of love, and open to giving and receiving love with ease. And so when we think about love and the way we both give and receive love, a lot of times the first thing that comes to your mind is romantic love, and that love that maybe we have between um, a fiance and yourself, or husband and wife. It may be family love. It may be the love between a brother and sister. It may be a soul family love where two people like my sister and I resonate on a soul level. And so there's a different kind of love there. It may be a love that you have between you and your beloved pet. As you know, I've got a house full of cats, and there's another level of love and connection there. It may be a love of nature and what Mother Earth has, in her many astounding ways, provided for us each and every day. Um, and that can be also considered love of Creator, love of Source, love of God. However you choose to view that, that love can be expressed in a multitude of ways. One way that we'll start to think of love this time of year is love of the ones that we've lost, because we're coming into what's known as the shadow season. We just recently, in the pagan community, celebrated the turn of the season in Lammas, or Lamas, depending on how you want to say it. And that is the first harvest, which is the first signs of fall and the turning of the seasons. And that goes into the equinox and into Samhain, which everyone knows as Halloween, um, which is then followed by All Saints Day. We have All Souls Night and then All Saints Day to remember those that have gone before us. And I gifted myself some years back. This is rose quartz, and it's aura treated. So this has a titanium aura. Titanium aura is felt to give and strengthen the properties of whatever stone you're working with. And so in the case of this one, this is rose quartz. So it's intended to magnify the properties of love, of self-love, love for others. And I'm going to turn this one around. This one is a hand-carved rose quartz skull. And I'm going to hold, and this is what I call my ancestors' skull. And so what I will do, and this goes back to my traditional upbringings with my mother, um, and more of the pagan views of doing things. I will set up an altar space, and I call it a remembrance space, where I'll set this up and I'll set a picture of, I've got a wonderful one of me with my mother, my grandmother, and my great grandmother, 4 generations, all living together. Um, and I'll also set up pictures of the animals that I've called my soul pets, because they still, to this day, hold a very special place in my heart. And I'll set up a remembrance space. I'll light a candle. And, in other religions, um, they will set up the ofrendas for Dia de los Muertos, which I am lucky living in New Mexico. I get to see a lot of that culture and tradition brought into our region because so many here do celebrate Dia de los Muertos, and getting to see the ofrendas and the 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 beautiful hand painted the sugar skulls and all of the artwork. So they use it just as a way to honor the loved ones in our family. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of ideas and understanding in the ways that we can not only celebrate love, but in going into the season of um, the harvest, we can honor those that we love that are no longer here in physical form. Because I know, and Gemma knows, that many of those are still here in spiritual form. So I'm going to set that one aside. And then the next one I wanted to talk to you a little bit about, and I use this one a lot, not kidding. Um, this one, since I started doing this podcast and talking to all of you, one of the things that I will do is I will ask my guides and my guardians, and it doesn't necessarily have to look like a prayer. Um, but I'll sit down, I'll close my eyes, and I'll say, I ask you to come into the space, watch over me in love and light only, and help me to speak in ways that will resonate with all of you with clarity and grace. And I really hope that I'm able to do that. And the stone that I like to use is amazonite or amazonite, depending on what you want to throw out there. And amazonite is a throat chakra stone, so meaning here, that encourages speaking your truth with confidence. It heals um, unhealthy communication patterns, and assists you in having difficult conversation with ease. Working with this, um, working with this gem inspires heartfelt sharing. So, like right now, when I'm speaking to you, part of it is I am channeling. I am allowing what information is coming through from source, from my guides, from my guardians, to come through and be related to you, allowing them to guide me in what I should speak about and how I should speak to it. And so with the Amazonite, I have an Amazonite sphere, and again, the camera color doesn't quite do it justice. This one's a little bit softer blue in person than it appears on camera, but it's a beautiful, it almost ocean waves, um, colors of blue. And this one in particular is a Amazonite that has bits of black tourmaline. And so I'm going to hold it a little closer and see if I can get it to focus. And so all the little black bits, those are tourmaline, which are, you know, clearing and grounding. So it allows and helps me to speak grounded, clearly, with, as I said before, grace, um, so that all of you are hearing the messages from me when you need to hear it, and in ways that are easy to relate to and easy to understand. The affirmation that they have for this, and I love this one, is I express my truth freely. I communicate with ease and with confidence. I express my truth freely. I communicate with ease and with confidence. And I know a lot of us struggle with that on a daily basis, speaking our truth. It took me a while to actually, you know, dip my toes in the water of being on camera, speaking to all of you openly, publicly, within the community about the idea of having psychic gifts, believing in ghosts, believing in UFOs, believing in Bigfoot, that all of these things, those are my truths. And they may not be his truth or her truth, but I want to be able to share that part of me that I have had to keep hidden and guarded and mudded for so long with all of you in the hopes that maybe you won't struggle with it as much as I had to. So that is Amazonite. And then the last one, and I know I'd mentioned this one before, but I wanted to bring it on and because I promised I would show this particular piece to you, is Labradorite. Okay. This is the spire. Let me see if I can get it. Yeah, get it where it flashes some of that blue to you a little bit. This is the spire that I keep next to my bedside on the table. And the way that spires, or sometimes they're called flames, um, as a healer, are meant to be worked with is you've got the point, and then you've got the flat spot, and the point is the sending end, and the flat spot is the receiving end. So, um, being that the energy is channeled this direction through the stone. So, working on that idea, working with that principle, if I wanted to receive the energy from this stone while meditating, I would put that point against me. And, in this case, I would put this to start out with at my heart chakra, then my throat chakra, then my third eye chakra, because I'm trying to learn to balance between my heart of what I know, what I feel, what I speak, and what information comes to me through my abilities. With Labradorite, as they talk about it on the card, Labradorite is a stone of new beginnings and hope and imagination. Use this captivating gem for new moon magic to amplify your intentions, ignite your desires. So, stopping there, if I were using this and I were working under the new moon, what I might do is have my Labradorite with me and be sending out for my manifestations that, I want to be able to travel to speak my truth to others and teach about psychic abilities and work with the stone that way. And then this one goes on to say Labradorite activates the third eye chakra. Again, that's that spot connected to the pineal gland. Um, not pineal gland. That's a whole different thing. Pineal gland. Um, the third eye chakra, opening your senses, enhancing your visions, and making it possible to see the world fully around you as it is. And for me, working with the Labradorite the last 6 months, I'm working on opening up and trusting my third eye vision. And so that's part of why I've reached out to the community and said that I'm willing to work with a couple of you and do readings. And, right now I'm not going to charge because I want to offer that gift to you in a way that not only will it support you, but it also in turn allows me to open that gift up more and give you good, clear messages. It gives me confirmation as well to know that the messages I receive, the information I receive is me, or I should say is not me, but is coming through me, if that makes sense. The affirmation, I believe in my inner magic and I attract miracles into my life. And I like that one too. And apparently my throat chakra says, okay, there's some stuck energy there about this because I could feel it bind up. It says, I believe in my inner magic and I attract miracles into my life. And honestly, I have. If I go back and I look at where I started out on this leg of my journey from 2020, and I would have to say that it really started for us here, for me, in March of 2020. That not only have I gone from, at that point, I was afraid to be alone. We all were. I'd always been afraid to be alone, apparently. And so it gave me a chance to learn how to be okay, to just be, to be still, to be quiet, to hear the messages that I was receiving. But it opened another door. It opened the door to a world of connection that I really didn't know was possible through YouTube, through Instagram, um, being able to connect with all of you, to talk with you, to hear your stories, to support you, to hold your hand and say, I believe you. I believe you. And I believe in you. We can do it. All of us together. All of us are experiencing faster and faster instances of synchronicities or activations of innate psychic abilities. We all have them. We're born with them. That's what the pineal gland is for, is that ability to use the sixth sense, which encompasses clairaudience, clairvoyance, claircognizance, empathy, and so much more. And we're seeing people that, like myself, those gifts are awakening more. they are heightening our overall feeling in everyday life is the energetic frequency changing. And so this has allowed us to connect this resonance, change, shift, whatever you want to call it. And in this journey, the last 3 years, being able to speak to all of you, hear your stories, encourage you to express those stories, has in turn encouraged me to express my stories, to speak my truth, to be true to myself, to honor the truths of my ancestors, those that have gone before me, those that I've lost, those that we've all lost, to show them love, and that we are still walking forward the path that was laid out for us by them. Each molecule in our body exists because it was part of them and what they did and their journey. And each molecule that exists in us, whether you have children or not, whether you have pets or not, will continue and exist in this world and the next through vibration and what you put out into the universe. I believe it wholeheartedly. I know my husband looks at me sideways sometimes when he hears me talk about this part. You know, he didn't know that there was such a word as the woo. And I say, this is the woo. It's what it is. It's my truth. And if it resonates with you, let me know. I really appreciate it. I love it when I get feedback, whether it's indirectly through Gemma and Stephen, or directly through, messages on Facebook or Messenger or Instagram, wherever. It really means a lot to me to know that what energy I've put out there is making a difference to each and every one of you. Let's see. There was one other little thing that I wanted to do for sure. And looking at our time, we are at about 12 minutes till the top of the hour. And I don't want to go too long over, partially because I do have other things I need to take care of, but I also don't want to tax our dragon, because we're running short on waffles. I don't want him to run out of waffles. So we got to make sure to take care of our dragon. So I want to very quickly talk to you a little bit about candles. And, I brought in briefly the idea of using something like a smudging candle to clear the energy of a space. I've mentioned in past streams that when meditating, whether it's just for myself, for healing, doing healing work on others, for doing a reading for someone, I will use a candle, I'll light the flame to meditate, focus on the energy. And so candles have been used for spiritual purposes since the very beginning. Since we first realized that we could make candles using tallow, the fat from animals that we'd harvested for our food, and using oil and creating wicks to create oil lamps to light our homes. Um, they can be used in ways to honor. As you see, I'm stroking, I have a little tiger here who's decided to come and join the stream. They can be used in ways to light our homes, to give remembrance for someone who's passed, someone we've lost. We will light candles when we come together to remember those that were lost in a tragedy. With September 11th coming up, there will be those that still get together and light candles as a way of remembering those that we've lost. Candles can also be used, and they come in all kinds of sizes. Honestly, my favorite, birthday candles, because they're small, they're portable. I have cats. I don't want to worry about something burning for too long that could easily get knocked over. And of course, when you're lighting a candle, working with any kind of fire flame, always be safe, always be careful. We don't want any tragedies. And so this is actually one of my favorites. It's called Good Light. They sell these at, um, I always mix them up, natural grocers here in town. There's Whole Foods Market, there's natural grocers. You can buy things similar to this at a co-op. And the reason I like these birthday candles, these are made so they're paraben free. They don't use extra chemicals. They use natural food color dyes and so on. They're handmade. Um, so they're good for the environment as well as for the practical purpose. And so when you're working with candles, think about, and we'll go back to working with the chakras. So if I am wanting to lend support when I'm doing a reading, for instance, let me see if I can pull one out here. Okay, I don't have a pink one here, but I'm doing a reading for someone who is looking at a loved one that they've lost and they'd like to communicate with. I would probably pull out a pink candle. This one is a red candle. If it was for someone who was, you know, a passion, then I might also have a red candle. If you were using it for magical purposes, pagan, Wicca, that sort of thing, they might use a red candle for impassioned love to bring in the energies of the idea of, I really want my husband to, think passionately about me again, or feel passionate, give that passionate love to me. Um, or I might pull out a blue candle. Blue can also represent, you know, water. Red could represent fire. Green for earth. Um, yellow for air. Um, or white for air. So, there are lots of different ways that you can work with different types of candles, different colors of candles. And before you get down the rabbit hole, which I know some of us will do, of, okay, are they all going to be doing that to um, summon bad things, to do bad things. Okay, I'm the first to say there are people out there that are going to take and do rituals for their own purpose, selfish, negative, and that goes for all practices. Um, and so, you know, keep in mind that, and I'm going to use no, I'm not. I'm not going to use the S word, but there are those that have taken pagan traditional practices and turned them upside down into S word. And if you know, you know. Um, and so you'll see these practices that were once and still are considered good things, holy things, protective things, positive things, turned upside down and used in a bad way. And therefore, because it was once a pagan item and it's now being used by this other S group, that it's all bad now. Witchcraft is all bad now. Paganism is all bad now. And that's just not the case. It's not. And so I'm hoping that through these little tidbits of information that I bring to you, that it encourages you to look into it with an open mind and an open heart and understand that these practices, many of them are thousands of years old. Some of them were even brought into modern day Christianity, which I think is wonderful. I have many friends that are Christians, and they're sweet and wonderful and loving people, and I wouldn't have them change a single bone in their body. And knowing that they also understand that some of these practices have been adopted by in early Christianity, um, adopted by Christians in early Christianity in marrying the two cultures. Some of it was done to try to bring those cultures together. A lot of it was done during the early Roman period. Um, bringing those cultures together in ways that wouldn't have been possible otherwise, and wars would have continued, and people would have continued to cease to exist. So, I guess what I'm getting down to is, you know, I want all of you to feel comfortable in your own skin, to feel comfortable with your own truths, no matter what those truths are, no matter where those truths come from, and no matter where that path leads. So it may be that, you know, you have a pagan path that leads to a Christian path, that leads to a Buddhist path. You know what? I love y'all. And with that said, I am going to say a few things about the upcoming streams. If Stephen, our lovely ghost dragon, is feeling up to it, he will be on tomorrow night at, I believe it's 10 p.m. Mountain Time. Yes, 10 p.m. Mountain Time, 12 p.m. Eastern, Friday night and Saturday night. Um, it's all going to depend on whether or not his voice is doing good enough. Um, but he will be streaming and here to hang out with all of you, and hopefully you want to hang out with him. Then Monday, Gemma should have an upload, and I would make sure your notification bell is set so you see that when it comes around. I think this Tuesday, make sure your notification is set to check for it, that she and Ghost Dragon will be doing Chillax and Chat Coffee Talk at noon, 12 noon Eastern Time on Tuesday. Wednesday, Gemma does her intuitive oracle readings from about 7:15, 7:15 Eastern Time to about 11, depending on how many people come in. And she also has her Gemma Jade merch available. The ticker there has got all of that information, as well as it's in the description box on her YouTube. Go over there, get yourself a little something, take a picture, show it off to her, let her know that you are here, and please, you know, go in after the streams. And I've been slowly trying to go back through the streams that I've already watched and leave a quick comment. Let us know what you think. Let us know if you've got ideas. Let us know if you've got questions, because that helps guide us to bring you the content, the information that you would like to see on the channel, on the streams going forward. Um, Stephen, if you will, with love and light, take me out. I'm going to wave goodbye, everybody. Blessings all. Be kind to each other. And I